Imagine coming home after a long shift, groceries in hand, only to find your key suddenly doesn't work. The door you've walked through every day for years has been locked by someone else. Now imagine realizing that someone was your HOA. Most people would panic, maybe call a locksmith, or beg the HOA president for mercy. But I'm not most people. See, I designed the entire security system for this neighborhood, and what they thought was a power move turned into the biggest mistake of their entitled lives. Returning home to a nightmare, it was a Friday evening. I had just wrapped up a grueling 12-hour shift at the tech firm where I worked as a cybersecurity consultant. I swung by the grocery store, loaded up on weekend supplies, and drove back to my suburban neighborhood. Everything looked normal: kids riding bikes, sprinklers watering neatly trimmed lawns, and the HOA patrol car cruising slowly, as if their job was more important than the police. I parked in my driveway, walked up to my front door, and slid my key into the lock. Twist. Nothing. I frowned. Tried again, nothing. Confused, I tried the deadbolt. Still stuck. I pulled out my backup key. Same problem. My heart sank. Someone had changed my locks. The HOA's dirty trick A notice was taped to the door. Bold red letters screamed, "Locks changed. Entry restricted. Until fines are paid." HOA, I ripped the paper off, my blood boiling. They had no legal right to change the locks on my private property. This wasn't an apartment complex. They couldn't just evict me because of some supposed fines. I scanned the letter further. According to them, I owed $4,380 in unpaid landscaping fees, noise complaints, and violation penalties. The kicker? I never received a single written notice about any of these so-called violations. This was pure extortion, their first mistake. Underestimating me. What the HOA didn't know or conveniently forgot was that I was the one who had designed the neighborhood security infrastructure years earlier. Before moving in, I worked as a contractor for the developer, setting up the surveillance cameras, smart locks, and network firewalls. The HOA inherited the system when they took over management, which meant one very important thing I still had: administrative access. Checking the evidence, I sat in my car, a laptop on my lap, and connected to the neighborhood's private security server. Within minutes, I was reviewing the camera feeds from earlier that day. Sure enough, around noon, I watched as 2 HOA board members and a hired locksmith marched up to my house. They fiddled with the lock, swapped it out, and smugly taped the notice to my door. Perfect. Evidence in hand. But I wasn't just going to sue them. No. I wanted them to feel the weight of their arrogance before I brought the hammer down. Step 1. Reclaim my house. Step 2. Expose the HOA's corruption. Step 3. Make sure they never pulled this stunt on anyone else again. Breaking back into my own house by breaking in. I don't mean smashing a window. Remember, I designed the system. New lock was electronic, integrated with the same central hub as the neighborhood gates and clubhouse. I logged into the admin panel, revoked the HOA's override access, and reset the lock remotely. With a smug grin, I tried my key again. This time the door clicked open smoothly. My home welcomed me back, and I stepped inside, shaking my head. At their incompetence, inside the house, everything looked undisturbed, at least at first. But as I checked room by room, I realized something chilling. A couple of my drawers were slightly ajar. My filing cabinet was unlocked. The HOA hadn't just changed the locks, they'd snooped through my personal belongings that crossed the line from petty to criminal. And I now had all the proof I needed to make them regret it. Confrontation at the HOA. Meeting the following Monday was the monthly HOA board meeting. I showed up early, dressed in my sharpest suit, carrying a folder full of printed screenshots. From the security cameras, the board sat at a long table, led by their Queen Bee President Karen, of course. Karen smirked when she saw me. "Oh, you decided to join us? Hope you brought your checkbook." I leaned forward, voice calm but ice cold. "Actually, Karen, I brought something better." I laid the photos on the table, her and her cronies caught on camera breaking into my home. The smugness drained from her face instantly. "You can't use those. That's private HOA property," she stammered. Wrong again. These cameras were installed by the developer under contract with me, which means these records are admissible in court. And let's not forget the little detail that you illegally entered my home, tampered with my property, and changed my locks without due process. The entire room went silent. Other homeowners in attendance leaned forward, whispering in shock. Karen tried to recover. We had the right. You owe thousands in unpaid fees. We posted notices. I laughed. Really? Because I have 0 documented fines. No emails, no certified letters, nothing. Just a bogus invoice and a power trip. I pulled out another paper, my attorney's preliminary cease and desist letter, already drafted over the weekend. What you did is called illegal lockout and trespassing. If I file this lawsuit, not only will you lose your positions, but the HOA will be liable for damages. The homeowners erupted. People started shouting, "You can't do that. They broke into his house? This board is out of control?" Karen's face turned red. She tried to gavel everyone down, but the damage was done. The power she wielded so smugly was slipping through her fingers. By the end of the meeting, a motion was made to suspend the current HOA board pending investigation. Several homeowners volunteered to form a temporary committee. The vote passed. Overwhelmingly, Karen stormed out, muttering threats about taking this to court, but even her allies avoided her gaze. Over the next few weeks, my lawyer filed official complaints for illegal entry, harassment, and breach of contract. Faced with undeniable video evidence, the HOA quickly folded. They agreed to pay all my legal fees, remove the false fines from my record, issue a written apology for the illegal lockout. But that wasn't all. During discovery, my lawyer uncovered that Karen had been embezzling funds from HOA dues for years, funneling money into her consulting business. The lockout had been her desperate attempt to intimidate me before anyone dug too deep. Needless to say, she was ousted permanently and is now facing criminal charges. With the corrupt board gone, the neighborhood finally relaxed. The new committee was made up of actual homeowners who cared about the community instead of personal power trips. They even asked me to oversee the security system again, this time officially with proper oversight. As for me, I enjoyed every second of watching Karen's empire crumble. The woman who thought she could bully me with a lock learned the hard way that you don't mess with someone who literally wrote the keys to the kingdom. The HOA thought they had all the control. They thought a few scare tactics would make me bow down and pay fake fines. But entitlement has a way of blinding people to the truth. Power isn't about locks, threats, or titles. Real power is knowing how the system works and making it work for you. So the next time an HOA Karen thinks about crossing someone, they might want to make sure that person didn't build the very walls they're trying to lock them out of. Asterisk, this story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.